Hello and welcome to Taylor Talks Comics Live. But I do have a big box to show off of stuff. Just to show you the size of this thing. Try to delicately open this. And once I open this box and show you off what's in it, you guys are going to be like, oh, this should have come out. You should have got this in October. And I'll say, oh, of course I should have. Yes. All right. So this haul is massive, but it contains a lot of the same thing, if that makes sense. Oh, cool. And right on top are the two things that are not the same. And then the rest of it is the same. Well, here we go. All right. So my first two books that I got. This one is Weird Work. Let me move Alfred here for a second. Weird Work by Jordan Thomas and Shaky Kane. I actually kickstarted this. This is by Oni Press, right? No, Image. Okay. I actually kickstarted this, and when it was single issues, I think it was, I want to say 4 issues. Let me see here. 4. I don't know. I think it was 4 issues on Kickstarter, and I backed all of them. But then I've been meaning to get the trade paperback to have it in my collection. And I needed it too because one of the issues I had got ruined. I had some water damage on it. So I'm happy to have this in my collection. Any Shaky Kane fans in the house? I'm a huge Shaky Kane fan. In the back, there's some cool pinup or cool variant covers as well. But let me show you some of Shaky Kane's artwork. He has like what I like to call like Jack Kirby fused with punk rock. It's the way I like to describe his style because it's a lot of Jack Kirbyisms, but mixed with like this kind of rad like alt comics feel to it. But some of the variant covers in the back. There's Mike Allred did a variant cover. And these were available on the Kickstarter as well, I believe, as options. That one's Javier Rodriguez. Jeff Darrow did one, which is amazing. Alexis Zirit. Oh, geez. Which I think I got when the Kickstarter came with like pinup cards of these. And then this one is Brendan McCarthy, which is really cool. So I have some of these cards. Alexis Zirit, which I think he's not doing in comics anymore. Is that correct? Oh, Clint Abel. If you picked up a couple years ago the Kane and Abel oversized paperback from Image, that was an awesome release. David Rubin, who's also amazing. And then back here, they do have a picture of the Kane and Abel trade paperback. This is really cool. It's a anthology done by Clint Abel and Shaky Kane, and it featured a lot of their comics and artwork. And some of the comics within were Jam Comics, where they worked on them together. And it's like oversized too, like the actual trade paperback. This isn't oversized. This is just standard. But Jordan Thomas does a lot of stuff with Shaky Kane, so he's really cool. I will say this. Your shelf doesn't look like anyone else, Taylor. Never seen this. Oh, well, thank you, Josh. I'm a huge fan of Shaky Kane. He's awesome. I need to do a video featuring all my Shaky Kane stuff. And this other one is a book that I think Bunkmaster B talked about this book whenever I was on the independent, or sorry, Harvey. The non-Big 2 publisher video with Bunk and Dom of X, and we would go through all the solicits for all the various publishers that are not Marvel or DC. And I think Bunk talked about this book. I need to talk to him about it because there's 2 that I kept mixing up that he kept talking about. But on TikTok, when I was doing my TikToks for a while there, Dave Chisholm, the artist of this, was watching my videos and saying like, hey, I really like your taste. Have you tried out Spectrum? And was like, no, I haven't. So I've been wanting to pick this up to try it out because I had the artist recommending it to me himself. So this is Spectrum, and it's put out by Mad Cave. But so if anybody knows, is this a Bunkmaster B book? Is this one that he was touting quite a bit? The artwork is pretty cool. But the thing that he said that I would like about it is I kept going on about like innovative layouts and ways to push the medium with page layouts and things. And Dave was like, I think you dig our book, Spectrum. So I picked it up so I can read it and review it. So hopefully, Dave, if you're watching, I don't think he watches my live show, but I will have a review of this soon. So anybody read Spectrum by Dave Chisholm and Rick Quinn? I think they have a deluxe edition. Okay, cool. I think they have a deluxe edition coming out in January also. So I might give this a read and then give it away or something so I can, if I like it, of course, and then get the deluxe hardcover. I know Bunk is a big fan of Spectrum. He was telling me about a Heroes comic. Okay, so that's the one. Because there was also another comic called like Spectra or Spectrograph or something. And I kept mixing up the two. And I feel like every time I talked to Bunk, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but was it Spectrum you were talking about? But I think this is the one he was buying in single issues and touting quite a bit. And it sounds like by what Chris said, that's the case. So I will read this. Give a shout out to Bunk and Dave Chisholm, both. Bunk owns original art page from Spectrum. Okay, so it has to be Spectrum, though. I don't know how interesting this will be for you guys, but we're going to have a little belated horror comics discussions because I got lots of creepy and eerie archives. So I'm trying to put the whole run together, and I was terribly behind. I think before this order, I only had I think I had 2 volumes of creepy and like 5 volumes of eerie, and that was it. And they're about to release volume 11 of both, so I was terribly behind. Now with volume 11, they're going to start doing double-sized archives, something they didn't do with the hardcovers, because these are just emulating the hardcover contents and everything, but they're going to be double-sized, so they're going to be double thick and have like 10 issues per, starting with volume 11. So they're going to get through the archives a lot faster, and the price point didn't go up that much. These are $24.99 for each of these. Obviously, you can get them much cheaper if you order the right places online. The cover price for the double-sized ones are $34.99, so it's only $10 more, but for twice as many issues. So it's really cool. But yeah, so I got a bunch of creepy and eerie. But I still don't have all of them. So, like I said, so volumes 1 through 10 are out for both of them, and I think I'm still missing volumes 3, 4, and 5 of Creepy. And those are out of print already. They have reprinted. Sorry, hold on. I know it's terrible audio. Okay. They have reprinted volumes 1 and 2, so they might reprint them. I'm not like desperately like afraid to pick them, or that they're going to go out of print and be hard to find forever. And you still find them online at certain places for good deals. So it's not like I'm in danger of missing out on them forever. But here's my stack here of creepy and eerie archives. So in this one, I got Eerie 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And Creepy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So Creepy and Eerie 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of each. And I already have Eerie 1 through 5 upstairs and Creepy 1 and 2. So I'm missing Creepy 3, 4, and 5. Then I'll be caught up. I think volume 11 of Creepy comes out this month, and then Eerie volume 11 comes out next month. So I will be behind again if I don't catch up. Thank you for reminding me about Creepy Eerie Archives. I've got 1 through 9 of both archives, but I'm late ordering the 10th volumes and need to pre-order 11 and 12. Okay, Dana, I would assume that you already had the hardcovers from the previous printings. I missed out on those. By the time I had an interest in collecting them, most of them were out of print. So I was stoked when I heard that they're doing these paperback collections, because again, they're super affordable. You get 5 issues, and each issue is like 60 pages, I think, or 48 pages, maybe. 56. Oh, 66 pages. Yeah, so about 50 to 60 pages each for each issue, and you get 5 issues. So it's like 200, almost 300 pages each of black and white, awesome horror comics in each volume for only $24.99. Amazing deal. And it's even going to get better when they do 10 issues each. So let's see who's in these. When these are all said and done and I have the whole collection, I will have everything from EC and everything from Creepy and Eerie. I have to say, though, Dynamite started doing the the Vampirella archives, and I was really hoping, because that's like the other part of Warren magazines. They did Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella, and they also did Blazing Combat, which has a collection from Fantagraphics. But Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella were the big ones. And when I heard they're doing these paperback Vampirella archives, I was like, oh, I really kind of hope they kind of make them match these. Not in design, they could have done their own design, I guess, but like at least magazine sized. And I saw one in the store, and it's just regular trade paperback size. I was so disappointed. I still want to get those, but regardless, what I was saying is I'll have everything from EC and Creepy and Eerie, which would be cool. So this is Creepy Volume 6, and we have the front covers by Frank Frazetta, a great Frank Frazetta piece. And these are really cool because they maintain and keep the color covers inside. So the covers are still cover. The covers are still in color, even though the interiors are all black and white. And eventually Creepy and Eerie would get color interiors, but not yet, though. I think that'll be in future volumes of these archives, which I am curious if those will come up in price on those. But anyways, this is Creepy number 6. Has a J.C. Vaughn intro. The intros are pretty cool, too, because they always get some cool people to do those. We have Archie Goodwin. Oh, this is the first issue. Try to see who's in here. Neil Adams, Vaughn Baudet, Ernie Cullen. Jack Davis is in here. Jack Davis, who's my favorite EC artist of all time. Billy Graham of not superstar Billy Graham of WWE fame, and not Billy Graham the preacher, but Billy Graham the artist who did Black Panther. Frank Frazetta, Bob Stewart, Steve Stiles, Tom Sutton. That's the name. And Angela Torres. Tom Sutton is like the artist that since I've been reading this, I never knew of Tom Sutton before this, and I became a big fan of his after picking these up. That's Creepy number 6. Creepy number 7 has another Frazetta cover. Check that out. I don't know how, like, it would have been such a thrill as a kid to have these on the stands, like to go into the magazine rack and see these on the stands. Oh, this one doesn't have an intro, but has a Frank Frazetta interview as the intro. So a lot of these have like intros from like newer contemporary creators that were inspired by these, like even like Gail Simone did an intro to one of them. I was kind of surprised to see her name in there. These covers are always so cool, though. Like, to see that on the magazine rack and pick that up as a kid would be so cool. But this is volume 7, and it's got probably a lot of the same people in it. Oh, Richard Corbin is in this one. He's listed as a writer and artist. That's cool. And Sid Shores, Tom Sutton again. Ben Oda on the lettering. Rich Buckler. I didn't know he did Warren stuff. See, that's a cool thing, too. It's just like discovering these artists, because these are stories that you don't see collected in like greatest hits collections or what have you, unless it's from Dark Horse doing a Creepy and Eerie collection. But like Steve Ditko, his work throughout Creepy and Eerie, you're not going to find anywhere else. So it's really cool just to like go through these and find all these cool artists that you weren't aware of that did things outside of their typical famous works. Like Steve Ditko, like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Mr. A and what have you. This covers by Basil Gogos, so it's not Frazetta this time. This is Wally Wood artwork. Dave Cockrum, Bruce Jones, George Russo's, Mike Royer. Ooh, Mike Royer. It's one of my favorite Kirby inkers. It's always cool to see a Kirby inker do pencil and ink work of their own. Yeah, so you can bet your bottom dollar that next year I will be doing a big Creepy Eerie video, maybe multiple Creepy Eerie videos for my 31 Days of Halloween. This cover is by San Julian. I'm not familiar with that artist, but this is Creepy number 9. And we got Richard Corbin makes an appearance in here again. Gardner Fox, Don McGregor as writers. Jack Katz. I didn't know he did Warren stuff. Mike Plug. Cool. Mike Plug. I like that name. And then here's volume 10. This cover is by San Julian. I'm probably saying that wrong. So this is the most recent Creepy Archives that's been released. And this has Richard Corbin, Reed Crandall. There's another EC alumni. Cliff Jackson, Felix Moss, Tom Sutton, San Julian on interiors. So there's so many artists in here that I'm not familiar with that I can't wait to discover. It's going to be so incredible. So those are all the creepies I got. 1984 was pretty cool too. That's the one I'm not familiar with. Was that like mostly science fiction stories? And what were they, like comics? Were they just like the other Warren mags? Or was it more like Famous Monsters of Filmland? And also, has that been collected anywhere? Yes, I can't wait to go put these on my shelf upstairs and see the whole collection together. Maybe I'll post a picture on the IG of it. I do kind of like the different colored spines. Kind of adds a little flavor to the shelf, you know? All right, so let's go over my haul. I did get a package of review copies from Fantagraphics in yesterday. It was really cool. And it came with 3 books, which is exciting. The first of which is the new Milo Manara book. Milo Manara? The Magnificent Adventure, The Perils of Giuseppe Bergman. And it's this large-sized, oversized trade paperback. And it has amazing artwork inside. If you want to see some Milo Manara artwork. Here's a good piece. This insanely detailed, beautiful artwork. Any Milo Manara fans in here? This book comes out early next year, I think. Let's see. This book comes out December. Oh, so it comes out in a couple months. If you want the Milo Manara book. And then, I need a place to put these. I also got Snafu, which is the 8th volume of the Atlas Comics Library. And this is collecting all of the issues of Snafu, which was Marvel, who was called Atlas Comics at the time, their answer to Mad Magazine. And I have to say, my first flip through, I'm pretty impressed with their... Oh, geez, sorry. Pretty impressed with their... Let me move my microphone. With their copying of Mad Magazine. The artists in here are the same bullpen of artists from all the other Atlas books. You got like Joe Manili, Bill Everett, John Severin, Marie Severin. Which John Severin did some work for Mad Magazine and Cracked. Cracked Magazine was another knockoff of Mad. Alfred E. Newman, Harvey Kurtzman's Mad Magazine. Once Mad Magazine became a huge hit on the especially on the magazine racks. Like there was so many parodies, not parodies, so many knockoffs of other companies trying to capture that same vibe. But it's a really cool cover too. But I was kind of impressed. I was expecting it to be more like exactly like Atlas Comics, like actual comic strips with just comedic style. But they actually do all the things that Mad Magazine would do with all the ephemera and the fake ads and the text pages and things. So yeah, they did a really good job. So I'm excited to read this, even more so than I originally was, which I was already excited. And then the next is the latest of the Attilio Micheluzzi books. So I did one video on Micheluzzi. If one of my moderators wants to find that name right there, to find my old video. But this is Petra Shuri, and this is a thick one. The other one was much thinner. But this is an Italian cartoonist that they are collecting the works of. Fantagraphics does a great job collecting a lot of comics from overseas and his foreign, non-American comics creators. This one's in full color. The last one I did, which I forget what the name of that one was. It was the Life in, I don't know. Oh, James says, Josh, get to it. Well, whenever Josh gets to it, I'll remember the name of it. But that was in black and white. And his artwork's amazing, though. It was kind of quite the discovery for me when I read that book that I never even heard of Micheluzzi, which I kind of pride myself on at least knowing of the great European artists that haven't even had their work translated yet. But this was one that I didn't know about. So I'm really excited that Fantagraphics is collecting his work. But the Petra Shuri book comes out in December as well. I'm assuming Snafu. Yeah, I think Snafu comes out in December. I didn't get a little solicitation sheet for that one, but I assume it is. Why don't I open some stuff? Where's my handy dandy knife? I won't use my pen nib because that upset Josh last time. If you've been following my show for a while, then you know I've been trying to collect all of 20th Century Boys. And here is volume 11. So I'm just one volume away. I just need the 21st Century Boys to complete the set. It has a crease in the spine, unfortunately. That's fine, though. No big deal. Looks pretty in good shape. But I did not meet my goal, personally, of reading 20th Century Boys all throughout October. So I got behind on my 31 Days of Horror Comics videos, and I didn't get a chance to read much outside of horror comics. Next year, I'm going to meet my goal of having all those videos done and all of my horror comics read before October 1st. I swear to it. But I'm going to try to read 20th Century Boys, I think in January. And then look at this. Here it is. The final volume. This is 21st Century Boys. And I think it was a 3-in-1 or 2-in-1 originally. I think it was a 2-in-1. So I think if you collect just the tankobons of 20th Century Boys, there's 2 volumes of 21st Century Boys, and then these are 3-in-1s, I believe. Regardless, the spines do match still. It just says 21st Century Boys on it, and there is a connecting image across all the spines, which I can do. Actually, that's a good Instagram post. And now I can put them all together and show them off on the IG. Everyone, go follow me there. But I'm excited to read this finally. I've read the first 8 volumes a few times. I read the first 4 or 5 volumes at least 3 or 4 times. And then, because every time I'd get a new volume, I'd have to start at the beginning again. Because it's dense, but it's amazing. Like it's packed full of like conspiracy theory and government, like political conspiracies and everything. The whole conceit of the story, though, if you're wanting to know why I'm going crazy over it, is that imagine you and your friends when you're younger wrote a comic book, and then you kind of forget about it. You live your life, go on for 20 plus years, and then as adults, everything you wrote in that comic book back then starts to come true in the real world. And that's when it gets good. That's when it, and Naoki Urasawa is an amazing cartoonist. His ability to draw, because it's all in black and white artwork, like your typical manga, but which is hard to discern different characters when you do black and white. That's like the one downside of black and white comic book artwork, is you can't tell difference of characters based on clothing color or hair color or anything like that. But Urasawa's ability to draw all these characters at all these different stages of their life, when they're kids, when they're young adults, when they're middle-aged, and have them look, you know exactly who it is. When you like start the story off with this kid, and then when the next chapter you see him when he's like 25 or 30, you know exactly what kid that is because of the way he draws the characters. An amazing thing. I don't know how he does it, but you don't get lost in the storytelling at all. It's great. I did get Witchman from Tom Scioli. This was a gift sent to me by Chris. I'm not sure if Chris wants me to say his full name or not, but he hit me up on Instagram. I hope he's watching this, but thank you so much, Chris. Seriously, thank you so much. And saw on one of my shows, I said I didn't have a copy of this, and he happened to have multiple copies. I forget what the circumstances were, but he said, I'll send you one. And this is Tom Scioli. Everybody knows I love Tom Scioli's work. And this was a Kickstarter that he did, and I missed out on it. And there's not really any place you can buy this now. Tom Scioli doesn't have like an online store, which is unfortunate. But the minute I opened the package and pulled this out, I sat down and read this whole thing, which isn't always what happens when I order books, but I had to because I love Tom Scioli's work. And this is so much fun. And I think this might be his best artwork that I've seen in a comic. I think that he poured his heart and soul into this book. But Witchman is this superhero character that he created that is supposed to be like an homage to Golden Age comics, like specifically Golden Age comics in the kind of like their origin issues. And it's amazing. I hope that he revisits this character because this was such a blast. I do plan on doing a video on this one because I had so much fun with this book. But get your hands on this if you can. It's so much fun. But also look forward to my video so I can show you more of the insides. Then this weekend I got Box Brown Child Star. Any Box Brown fans in the house? I've read a lot of Box Brown, but I've not read this one yet. Box Brown's done a lot of great comic graphic novels. Tetris, the history of Tetris is one of the books that I like to pitch for new readers because it's such a wild story. Like to give someone the premise of this is a comic book or a graphic novel about the history and the making of Tetris. Sounds like the most boring thing ever. You're like, Tetris? Like, I love playing that game, but it's just like, what is exciting about that? But that book is so thrilling, and all of the behind the scenes with like Russia and America that has to do with the making of Tetris it's amazing. Like, he made it into a thriller. Great stuff. Go read that one. He also did a biography on Andre the Giant, which is great, and a biography on Andy Kaufman, two of the great folk legend kind of celebrities that I can never get enough of. A huge Andy Kaufman fan. But this is Child Star. This is a fictional, just like a straight OGN that he did. I haven't read this yet, but I think it's based on like the typical horror stories that you hear, the tragic stories of the child stars, celebrities who are big names on sitcoms when they're kids and they grow up and have like terrible lives. I think that's the premise of this one, but I can't wait to read this one. Box Brown is an awesome, awesome read for anyone that hasn't read it. And then also, I talked about Jesse Lonergan earlier. I got Arca. This is one of the Lonergan titles that I've yet to read. Written by Van Jensen. Put out by IDW. I found this at a Half Price Books, I think. And the premise is pretty cool. It's society crumbled, but its billionaires had an escape. The Arca, a vessel equipped with life's luxuries, maintained by teenagers, forced to exchange their childhoods for the promise of wealth on their 18th birthday. So it's about a bunch of billionaires leaving planet Earth after they destroyed it and trying to live elsewhere, which sounds a lot familiar to some of the billionaires that we hear talking today. So hopefully that'll be an interesting read. Bum, bum, bum. The comics are more companion material than an adaptation, lots of prequel material, and the parts that are adaptation are also part sequel to the books in some interesting ways. Oh. So you can't just read just the comics then. Interesting. I love the stand during the Plague's Journey stuff in the first 3/4, but I think the ending's weak. Salem's Lot is probably my favorite king. Okay. I'm looking forward to Corto Maltese books. Me too. I don't own any Hugo Pratt in my collection, and I know that Fantagraphics is like the perfect publisher to treat that work as respectably as it needs to be, and I enjoy it. I can't wait. Same, pre-ordered it. I have the old small editions that was cut up. I need to get Witchman, but I was a bit surprised by the high price for a single issue, but I should have jumped on it. Yeah, it is $25 cover price, which is quite a bit. But it has like, I think 80 pages or something. It's pretty thick for a single issue, but I feel like it's worth it. If you're a Tom Scioli fan, it's worth it. Excited for the Witchman video in April. Get out of here. I liked Xanadex a lot, but it was very sparse and loose compared to his most detailed work. I usually prefer that stuff. Exactly what I thought, Pete. Xanadex, which I loved a lot, in the art style, I feel like was almost like his treatment of manga. Like I said that in the video I did on that. I feel like he could release that in like a tankobon version and do like a long series with Xanadex. This is his more detailed artwork. Like this has like, that's what I was saying when I said it might be his best artwork of his career. Definitely like some of the pages still has this looser style, but when I was reading this, it's like, whoa, like it almost like caught me off guard with how detailed it was compared to the recent Scioli that I've read, like Xanadex and whatnot. But that's a good point they made. I also picked up this, and holy crap. This is the Shazam Archives Volume 1, collecting the CC Beck era Captain Marvel comics. I'm a huge fan of CC Beck and Otto Bender. Every time I can get a facsimile edition or read any sort of issues from that era, I soak it up and I want to read more of it. I can't read enough of it. I know these archive editions exist. My comic shop had this though, and every time we go there, I pick it up and I'm like, should I buy this? And then my son finally forced me to buy it. I've already read through halfway of it, and I can't get enough. I don't know what it ranked on my top 10 most wanted DC omnibuses, but this is my number one, and it'll be my number one until they finally print the freaking thing or reprint this material in some fashion. I don't care if it's DC Finest. I don't care if it's omnibus, whatever it needs to be. We need Captain Marvel collected comprehensively. This is going to be one of my next videos because I'm going to read this, and I have a couple other Captain Marvel books I'm going to show off as well in that video that are really, really great. This is the stuff we need in the world today. Very, very good. I also got the 20th Century 8-Ball trade paperback. There are not many Dan Clowes collections I don't own. A lot of this material I already owned because I have the box set of 8-Ball, but there's still some pages in here that weren't in there. And I just like the idea of having every Clowes book. So I think I'm missing Caricature, and then I'm missing his early stuff. So I don't have any of the Lloyd Llewellyn stuff. That's my next hunt right now, is the Lloyd Llewellyn material. But I've been reading through this the last couple of days too. Dan Clowes is just amazing, amazing stuff. Just like his book design, the overall package of how he makes his comics is great. Everything's hand lettered, hand colored, hand drawn. Just amazing stuff. Truly, truly great stuff. Like, this is a table of contents. He drew like a little icon for each story to do the table of contents. And then the indicia for the book is actually told, like the indicia, the copyright material, is told within a comic strip. Just a genius. Absolute genius. I also got New York Diary by Julie Doucet. I do not own this. I've never read this. I'm a huge fan of Julie Doucet I love her Dirty Plot. I have the box set for that. But I've never read New York Diary. And I don't think this was serialized in Dirty Plot, was it? No, I think this was the first graphic novel she did afterwards. Maybe I have read this. I don't know. But I think it was after the fact. But regardless, Julie Doucet is an amazing cartoonist and one of the all-time great women's cartoonists. Pick that up. This was a cool one. Michael DeForge is one of my favorite cartoonists. which I feel like I say that all the time. But Ant Colony, I've seen this pictures of this online, but I never held it in my hands. I didn't realize it was this landscape hardcover until I saw it at Half Price Books this weekend. I cannot wait to dive into this. I'm a huge Michael DeForge fan. I need to do a video on all my Michael DeForge books because I'm getting pretty close. I'm still like 5 or 6 away, I think, from collecting all his stuff, and I don't have any issues of Lose, which is the hard one. That's like the Grail and stuff that he says he'll never reprint. So we're never going to get a big collection of Lose, unfortunately. But yeah. So I do need to do a video on Michael DeForge, though. He's like one of the most unique cartoonists out there that I really enjoy. All right, I'm running out of time here. I got to pump through these. I got My Friend Dahmer. I've already read this before, but I don't own a physical copy. This is Durf Backdurf, who's an awesome cartoonist, telling the story of how he went to school with Jeffrey Dahmer. There's nothing in here about Jeffrey Dahmer as an adult. This is kind of like his origin story, if you will. So it doesn't have any of the salacious, like, horrific murders that he committed in his adult life. It's just telling about him as a kid going to school at Durf Backdurf, and you can come to your own conclusion of like if certain things pre-told what would happen later in his life. But it's really, really great stuff. Highly recommend. I also got Blankets by Craig Thompson. Confession. I've never read this. I know it's like a terrible tragedy, but it's at the Half Price Books. It was cheap. Oh no, I found this Goodwill actually. Goodwill for $4.99. And I figured winter's coming up. This would be a good snowy read for wintertime. Trying to pump through these. I think I'm almost at the bottom of the list here. I got Blurry by Dash Shaw. I also have not read this. This just came out last year, I think. Dash Shaw is awesome. This has got nothing but rave reviews. So I've been jealous that I was not reading it like everybody else was. And I can't wait to read this. But Dash Shaw is an awesome cartoonist. Here's a prose book I picked up. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This is supposed to be a blast to read. There's like 7 books out. I'm sure everybody has heard about this book before. And it's about a guy getting stuck in a dungeon with his ex-girlfriend's cat. And then he's on this like reality TV show where he has to escape the dungeon for the pleasure and entertainment of other people. But yes, this was it's really popular right now. It's a prose book. I'm going to read this after I finish The Shining. And this was a cool one. It's not often, and I'm not saying this to be braggadocious at all, but it's not often I can go to like a Half Price Books and like discover a comic book or a cartoonist that I've never seen before. And this was one that I picked up this book because it looked cool, and I've never heard of this cartoonist. Hopefully some of you have. And I fell in love with this book, and I want to find more from him. But this is Curses by George Wilesall. But this book is really cool. It's by Avery Hill Publishing, and it's just like full of his like mini comics and things. My lighting sucks. Sorry. But I'm gonna read this and do a video on it because I just love that discovery. That's the reason why I go thrifting and hunting all the time, is because I love discovering gems, whether it be from a cartoonist that I already love and admire that I don't own, or a brand new cartoonist that I never heard of, and just like becoming a fan of their work. That's largely what my comic book hunting was growing up, was like always trying to seek out the cool new thing from comics. And that gave me a little nostalgia for it. So yeah, I'm going to try to, I think I'm going to save the bangers for last. How about that? Okay. So I went to my shop today, picked up a few issues of Chip Zdarsky's Z Comic News zine. I think I showed off one of these on a haul I did last week or so, and I really like the stuff in here. Chip Zdarsky is a pretty funny guy. And again, inspiration because I'm working on a zine. Yes, Josh, I'm working on it actively. I got this. This is Johnny Nemo by Brett Ewins and Peter Milligan. Peter Milligan's one of my favorite writers in comics. This is like such fun stuff. So this is like I'm a big fan of Peter Milligan and Brendan McCarthy's Paradox, and what is it? Paradox and Freakwave? What's that on here? I think it's Paradox and Freakwave, and this is kind of the same ilk, but with Brett Ewan's artwork. And Brett Ewins doesn't have a lot of comic artwork out there, but what he does have is awesome. And I love this like color work in here too. So this was published in Deadline magazine back in the day. I'm a big fan of Deadline with Jamie Hewlett and Shaky Kane and Brett Ewins. Like some really cool artists came through Deadline magazine. It's kind of like the alternative comics version of 2000 AD. Is how I view Deadline's history. And they had a Kickstarter that just ended recently, and I backed that, so I'm excited to get that in. But these are comics I've never read before. I'm a big fan of Peter Milligan. Brett Ewins is awesome, so I wanted to check this out. Here's the back cover. And I was getting some discrepancy on what the full complete collection of Johnny Nemo was, because they put out a few collections, and the one I ordered actually had a different cover to this. But I got this in, and I think this is still the complete thing. But someone let me know if you know the answer. Shout out to Rocco Jerome of Ghost Agents fame. If you're not familiar, let me show this off. So Rocco had posted about El Borba on the old Cartoonist Kayfabe group, and I commented like, "Oh, that's one of the few Burns books I'm still missing." And he hit me up, said he had 2 copies, and I said, "Yes, I'm very much interested in it." This is a paperback version, but I guess this is a second printing, and he said that this has extra back matter in it, which I think it is the case because there's some extra like covers and things, and a little bit of him talking about his comics and whatnot. But I didn't have El Borba. The one I'm missing now is Skin something or other. I'm forgetting what it is, but excited to dive into some Burns that I've never read before. And El Borba, if you don't know, is like this Andre the Giant / luchador looking character. He's got the mask there and the Andre the Giant singlet. But then Rocco Jerome was nice enough to send me out the Ghost Agents that I'm missing. I showed off this earlier, like a few months ago. Let me see if I can pull it out without knocking over a whole stack of books. This was the Ghost Agents I picked up. I picked this up in Louisville when I went this past summer. Skin deep. Thank you, Jordan. And this was really cool because it's got Ken Landgraf artwork all throughout it. And Ken Landgraf's awesome. I'm a huge fan of Ken Landgraf. He did New York City Outlaws, which there's a big collection of that got put out by Floating World that I'm a huge fan of. So I have this, and then I backed a few years ago. I backed the first Kickstarter for Ghost Agents, but I was missing the in between stuff. So I had the original stuff, and then I had the Ken Landgraf, and then Rocco was nice enough to send me out these copies that he had. These are pretty thick copies too. So these are put out now by Cosmic Lion Productions, and they're different trim sizes. You can see like one's taller than the other one, and one of them's on like newsprint. But anyways, Ghost Agents is a really killer series. Rocco does all the writing for it, but all the artwork is done by like a whole litany of different cartoonists. Most of them coming out like he connected with the Cartoonist Kayfabe group. But so like you get all kinds of crazy artwork throughout here. Here's one by Anton Blake doing this piece. But it's like a pop art inspired, kind of like Jim Steranko era, Nick Fury inspired series with these spies and double agents and all those, all the crazy hijinks that go along with that world. But done in a really cool way. There's like a 3D issue in here. Who's the artwork? Oh, Barry Tan. Barry Tan's artwork is really, really great on here too. And Rocco Jerome has a really good eye for talent, and you can tell by how good the artwork is throughout here. Here's a color version of that 3D issue. It's really, really cool stuff. But you can go on CosmicLionProductions.com and check out this work. Who's this artist? Yeah, I see some like Paul Galassi inspired like Master of Kung Fu artwork in here as well. So it's like Steranko, Paul Galassi inspired stories and art, but done with like a modern sensibility. Chris Anderson is one of the artists in here as well. So really, really cool stuff. I highly recommend that. I'm going to do a video on Ghost Agents whenever I am able to read through these and show them off on my channel. So Rocco Jerome didn't stop there with the awesomeness. When I got that package and I messaged him and said, hey, I got the books in. Thank you so much. And then he said, hey, do you have this book? Do you have a copy of this book? And I said, no. And it's like, would you like one for, I'll just, charge you however much I paid for it. And I said, absolutely. I never even thought I'd own this book because it's so like out of my range of like possibility. And I think he charged me that cover price for it. But Phasetasm, the Gary Panter, Charles Burns book. And this is a weird edition. This is like a foreign, I think it's like French edition. But that doesn't matter because there's no words in it. So it doesn't matter if it's published by the French. But I've never seen this edition before with the silvery cover. It's kind of cool. This was put out by Fantagraphics, I think, way back in the day. But this is Gary Panter and Charles Burns Jam comic, or Jam art book, I guess it would be more. And it's like those classic kids books where you can like move the faces. Like one, it's like trifold or whatever. And every other face is by Gary Panter or Charles Burns. And you just go through the whole book and just mix up these faces like this. Did everybody have these books when they were kids? Such a cool idea. I think Skinner did one. I think was Panter on that one as well. I think they just released one of those with Fantagraphics recently. But this was another Charles Burns book I didn't own, and I love Gary Panter as well. Gary Panter's awesome. Huge. I think this might be my favorite one in here. Huge Pee-wee's Playhouse fan as a kid. Not even knowing that Gary Panter was part of that project until much later in my adult life. And this robot, which I think is by, yeah, this is Gary Panter. This robot's probably my favorite one in here. Let's see if I can show that off here. Cool stuff though. Phasetasm. Reason why I went to my shop this week, Tom Scioli's Twilight Zone issue came out. See if I can get that on the camera better. Huge fan of Twilight Zone. And you guys know, if you watch my show, huge fan of Tom Scioli. Anything Tom Scioli does, I pick up. Cannot wait to just read through this. This is issue number 2 of this new Twilight Zone series by IDW Dark, which is like their, I guess, Vertigo type imprint. It's got a, it's not a wraparound cover. It's like the same image, but done in a little bit darker. I have no idea what the story's about yet. I haven't read through it. But it does have classic Tom Scioli artwork, but he did it in like the black, white, and grays to match the TV show. I didn't read issue number 1. Has anybody read issue number 1 of Twilight Zone? I forget who did it. It had a different writer. I think Dan Waters was the writer on it, maybe. But I decided that I'm going to pick up whatever issue has cool artwork in it that I really dig. Issue number 3 has James Stokoe. So James Stokoe is going to be on issue number 3, which I'm stoked for too. I'm glad that like it seems like the anthology comic is coming back into style, and I really appreciate that. I think it's a good thing for comics, and I think Twilight Zone's a perfect vehicle for that. Just a cool idea that like IDW can go and like reach out to the different cartoonists and say, hey, you want to do an issue of Twilight Zone for us? And there's so many cool ones that they can reach out to. Like, hey, hit up Jasper Jubenville and see if he likes Twilight Zone. I don't know. And then I picked this up too. I don't think this is the same one I have already. I have to look. I think I had issue number 2. Yeah, I had issue number 2. This is 3 of American Nature. This is the zine that the guys that do Santos Sisters puts out. And it's a mixture of, it's on like cheap newsprint, which is always great. It's put out, it's got a mixture of comics and articles in here. Is it Matt Frizzell? Yeah, there's a Matt Frizzell interview in here. But this is definitely an inspiration for me for my zine as far as like what I want it to include in things. There's a Buddy Bradley. It's got a mixture of reviews, interviews, comics. Just a cool piece. And it's put out, I think Floating World's the publisher on this. 56 pages of interviews and comics and cool stuff. American Nature. I got My Gorilla Family, the latest in the smudge manga imprint from Living the Line. Living the Line sent me this and the next book I'm going to show off for review. I love the smudge imprint. I'm going to bang the table on this, like, for this manga imprint as long as I can. This one looks wild too. I read the first story. I've been flipping through it. Let me just show you this. Like, look at that. Like, this is like classic, like 70s, 80s era mangas, what they do. And I was on a stream on New York Edition. We did like our, what is it called? Our evergreen horror comics picks or whatever. And Tony Fleece was on there. Tony Fleece that did like Stray Dogs and Feral, I think it's this newer series. And he had the perfect description of this. This is like the Vinegar Syndrome. If you're familiar with Vinegar Syndrome, the movie company that produces DVDs or whatever of these classic like B and C horror movies. That's kind of like what Smudge feels like, because it's these classic horror mangas that are all one and done so far, and which I love one and done manga. And Ryan Holmberg is the curator of this, and he does all the translation. And so far, every single volume has been amazing. Like I've read, I do have all of them, Josh. Yes. So I have all of them now. And I'm not kidding, guys. Like every single time I read one, I'm like, that's the best one of the line so far. That's the best one. I don't think this one will be any different, because I read the first story, like I said, and just flipping through it, there's amazing stuff. But it's by Lijima Ichiro, I think is how you pronounce. I know Ichiro is how you pronounce the last name, but it looks like an L, Lijima. But yeah, and this is like an anthology. It has like each chapter is a completely different story, and they're all done by the same artist. They always have like back matter here too by Ryan Holmberg, where he shows off covers and other stories that the same artist did. Oh, I didn't even notice this. He gave me a sticker. Look at that. I do have a Smudge sticker on the back of my laptop, which I can't show you because it's what I'm using to film this right now. But I love Smudge. Smudge is great. This is the other book that I was sent out, Living the Line sent out to me, called Harpy. And this is going to be, you're going to hear a lot of hype on this book if they put it in the right hands of the right people. I think this was like, I don't know. I was confused by the publishing of this. I think I read somewhere that it was like Uncivilized Publishing was the publisher at first, but then Living the Line might have picked it up. I know there's something to do with distribution there too, where Diamond kind of messed up Living the Line's publishing too, and Uncivilized Books. So I think they both joined together in some regard. I don't know. But all I can tell you now is that Harpy, which is this thick trade paperback, is out right now by Living the Line, and it's done by EPHK is the writer and artist on this. This is the first time I've read anything by them, and I'm an instant fan. Like, this is so my vibe of comics. Like, this stuff looks amazing. I can't wait to show this off on my channel. Like, it's just action-packed, sci-fi, cyberpunk kind of stuff. Absolutely love this stuff. Kind of reminds me of, like, I guess some like Akira vibes, some Brandon Graham vibes, some maybe a little bit of James Stokoe in there. But yeah, this stuff's awesome. Oh, geez. Didn't mean to bump my mic there. Awesome, awesome stuff. So, going to do a video on this one very, very soon, because I've been digging that book a lot. By the way, I've not even got to the best part of my haul yet. So thank you guys for lighting up the chat. This is not the best part. It's the next book I'm going to show. But I did pick up the next Creepy volume. I'm going to do a video on this one, because look at this. Look how thick that is. I don't even know if I have do I have the other volumes up here? Oh, I do. All right. So Dark Horse has been releasing these paperbacks of Creepy and Eerie magazine. I've been talking about how great these are. They're like collect like 5 issues of the magazine in one volume, but they're thin. But now they're doubling them up. So look at this. Look how thick that is. They're doubling up the archives. So now they're going to be like 10 issues per volume. And the price has not even gone up that much, because this This is the first volume of Creepy that came out. You can see the price tag there, $24.99. Doubling it up, twice as many comics in this volume, and the price only $34.99. So twice as much content for only $10 more. And this is when we're getting to the color stuff too, by the way. We get some wicked, awesome artwork in here. I think there might be some Richard Corbin in here. It does have a sticker on it, by the way. Right there, which I think I could peel off if I wanted to, but I don't mind it. It looks kind of cool. It says double the ghoulish content per volume. Collects hardcover volumes 11 and 12. Because they did releases in hardcovers previous to this. But now they're doing paperbacks. Yeah, Richard Corbin's in here. As well as Reed Crandall, Paul Neary, Tom Sutton, who's been like my favorite artist that I've discovered through these Creepy Eerie magazines. Can't wait to dive into this thing. But I'm going to do a video on it talking about how they're doubling up the volumes now. I think a volume 11 of Eerie comes out next month. And yeah, so I think there's going to be 19 volumes or so when it's all said and done. But I'm still only missing Creepy volumes 3 and 4, I think. But I have all the Eries. All right, are you guys ready for this? This is like, so you guys know when I did the video on 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I said that was my #1 whale. I don't even know what my next whale would be. Well, I haven't been as vocal. I might have mentioned this a few times, but I harpooned my whale, my #1 whale. So I don't even know what my next #1 whale is going to be. It might be, I don't know. I'll come up with that later, but I harpooned this whale for an incredible price. I still shocked for the price that I got it for. It was like, this book goes for crazy money. I liked, whenever I go on eBay, I always just like and follow book listings, because then, if you don't know this, good eBay tip. Because I sell a lot of books on eBay as well. When you sell books on eBay, if someone hearts your listing, you'll get alerted from eBay saying like, hey, do you want to offer that person a discount? You have 10 people liked your listing, but none of them bought it. Do you want to offer them a discount? And you do, you can say like 10% off. And that 10% off goes off to all 10 people liked it or following that listing. And then they can accept the offer. So a good eBay tip, if it's a book even out of your price range, just give it a heart. And they might even get a crazy offer from the seller who's just trying to get rid of the books. Cool eBay tip. But I got, oh, wrong side. The Shazam Monster Society of Evil slipcase edition that came out in, I think, the late 80s. Is Dana still here? She's going to appreciate this one. But this is way out of print. It's from American Nostalgia Library. I think it was printed in Europe, though. 1989 is when this book came out. It's never been, I knew it. Jordan, did you really know that's what this is going to be? That's hilarious. It's in a beautiful slipcase, though. The slipcase is a little dinged up, which he alerted me of this. Like, this wasn't, none of the damage on this book was surprising to me. He let me know. But it is a little dinged up, which I don't mind that. But the slipcase is beautiful. And this is taller than an Absolute Edition. I think it's got like an inch or so on Absolute Edition in size. And it's beautifully designed. But this is collecting the Monster Society of Evil book, or series of strips from Shazam, Captain Marvel from back in the day. It was serialized in 25 different issues with the story, which is so different than Golden Age and Silver Age even. They would not have stories continue on from issue to issue. Like you always hear Stan Lee talk about how like the Galactus trilogy was a big thing because they serialized the story across 3 issues, and it was so risky, and they can't believe they did that. Well, this was 20 years before that, and they did it across 25 issues. The reason why they did more one and done stories back in the Golden Age and Silver Age was because most of the distribution was on the spinner racks. Comic shops didn't really exist, so it wasn't reliable enough. Like, you couldn't guarantee that when you went to the shop went to the spinner rack or the newsstand that week that you can get the next issue of Captain Marvel or the next issue of whatever, Superman or whatever you're looking for. But Otto Binder and CC Beck took the risk and did 25 issues or stories serialized across the board. Previous to that, I don't know if I still have it up here. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know. I'm going to do a video on this, though, and I'll show it off whenever I do the video. Yeah, I can't find it. Previous to this, though, I only had a edition that was by that Guandalon publisher, and it was like a reprint of like crappy scans of the old comics, and there's like, but they didn't even have the whole story in there because Guandalon only does public domain, and I don't even understand how they got away with some of the issues, but I don't know. But it wasn't the complete story. So now I have the complete story in this beautiful, beautiful edition. I can't wait to read this. The binding is it's come unglued a little bit, so I need to figure out how to fix that. I've never repaired a book before. I never really bothered, but this one I might have to because this is such a treasure in my collection now. I can't believe I have this. Amazing stuff. So yeah, obviously everybody knows I've been on a big Shazam Captain Marvel kick lately. I don't think I'm gonna peak after that. Like the only next piece of Shazam Captain Marvel merchandise I can get that's gonna satiate this appetite is gonna be if they finally put together a collection collecting all of the series without any sort of censoring or whatever. That looks really good for a book. Yes, it's published by, again, I don't know, Hawk Books / American. I don't know much about the publisher at all. It was not done by DC Comics, who owned the rights to it. And I think it was done in Europe because I don't know how they got away with, I don't know the story behind the publishing of this book, but definitely really cool. And I do love that they went with like a black border around I think it's really like a kind of nice looking treatment to it. To have that black border around the artwork. I think it looks really good that way. And I don't know what the touch up was or anything like that. I haven't read the front intro. I don't know if it'll tell me in that but it's one of a 3,000 edition too. They only released 3,000 of these. I don't know if that's what the deal is with DC. If they're like, okay, you can do this thing, but you only have 3,000 copies you can print. I don't know, but I got like, mine's like number, I didn't even see. I think the eBay listing says like 884, but I didn't even see if it was like listed in here. Oh, it is. Look at that. I'm trying to be careful here because, like I said, the binding needs repaired. We see right there the one of 3,000. It's 884 or 844. 844 on that white box there. If it's coming in clear at all. So I got a triple digits. I don't know. Does anybody care about like when they get like certain numbered volumes of things? Do you care what number you get? I know people are like, oh, I got one of the first ones, like volume 8. But like, is that even like, is there any sort of parameter like that sells better than volume 844, for instance? Didn't Kayfabe not even have that? Yes, Kayfabe did not have it. Chris Pitzer had a copy, and he brought it to the Kayfabe compound to do a video on it. But yeah, they didn't have it. Which I don't know that they're big fan. I don't know Jim and Ed were big fans of Captain Marvel Shazam. I know Tom Scioli is, but I heard the Captain A have it in your voice when you brought it up recently. It's an impressive whale, man. Oh, thank you. So you knew what I was going after. I was shocked that I got it for what I got it for. But my next whale, I don't know. I think it might be some Michael DeForge issues of Lose, actually. I'm missing a few of those issues. I think I talked about how I had no issues of Lose, but I recently ordered from a website 3 issues. So now I just need 4 more issues of Lose. And I know Michael DeForge says he'll never reprint those. I don't know if that's big enough to be my whale, though. I'll have to think about it. It's got to be something that's like only goes for crazy prices, and I think I'll never obtain, or goes for like way richer than I'm willing to pay for it. Get you some mail that I received. So I got Thunder Beast by Wesley Griffith. He sent me this. It's a thicker trade paperback. that he has on his web shop. So you can look forward to a review for that one. I got THB by Paul Pope. I have to say, first of all, 23rd Street Publishing, they refuse to put their books into comic book shops. I don't know why. Comic book shops could get them, but they have to order it through the book market. Very strange. So none of the online retailers like PBC or IST or CGN had this, and they also didn't have Jerome, which is another book by the same publisher. It's getting a lot of praise this year by Jesse Lonergan, one of my favorite cartoonists. So these are both hard to obtain if you only shop at comic shops. And also, THB, this has been a long-awaited book that's come out. Paul Pope, it's his 90s alternative one-man anthology series. Or not even anthology, sorry, one-man series, I don't know. 90s alternative series. And people have been begging for it to be collected for years, myself included. And finally, it's going to get collected. It's going to be 3 volumes in this series, these trade paperbacks. And I'm annoyed because there are no covers in this book at all. So the great THB covers that we all know and recognize are not even included at all in any sort of format. Not in black and white, not in a thumbnail, nothing. There's no chapter breaks either. I think he's collated this to where he's kind of spiced things around. So maybe the issues wouldn't match up exactly, but still no chapter breaks. You guys know how I feel about that. Robert Kirkman is also anti-chapter breaks for some reason. And there's no back matter.
That's my dad's least favorite thing in the whole universe.
Yes. Chapter breaks with collected editions. Man, my beard is out of control today. But there's a new introduction by Paul Pope, but that's it. So I figured, with this being highly anticipated, people have been looking forward to this for years, and it kind of came with a thud. I don't know if he plans on a deluxe edition later on that has more stuff in it, but disappointing nonetheless. I did finally
take my bookmark.
Probably. I did finally get this. This is the one Simon Hanselman collection I don't own, and it's his art book. Simon Hanselman, did I cover up your face? Is that it?
Yeah.
Simon Hanselman appears in the introduction of my videos. I'm a big fan of his, and I did a video on Halloween of all his books. So this is a really cool art book put out by Mansion Press from France, and he has really good painted. He has a really cool painted style. The coolest thing about this book is that he puts in little author notes about the pieces that he does. So I really love art books that also have some anecdotes. I'll get to them. Anecdotes in them as well from the artist. And then I picked up this. This is one I've been wanting to pick up for a long time. This is Grand Electric Thought Power Mother, which is a wild name. It's a hardcover put out by, is it Perfectly Acceptable? That's what it is called. By Lael Westvind. This is a cool hardcover, some really cool psychedelic artwork. And then I got this. I know Harvey Picar's Ghost picked this up. This is the 4th volume of You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. Is that what it's called? Yeah, You'll Own Nothing and You Will Be Happy. This is the zombie comic from Simon Hanselman, he calls it. And really great presentation and packaging. This is how you present a comic book. The cover stock and paper quality is great. It's even got a comic strip on the back, which I always love. It's very Dan Clowsian. But look at this. So it has this belly band on it, on the comic, and you pull it off. Nice and fancy, right? But there's a comic strip on the inside of it. Look at that. What a cool little idea. And then included also is this little pamphlet to join the Werewolf Jones summer camp. So I have the first issue of this series, and this is the 4th issue. I think Harvey Picar's Ghost said he's going to try to hook me up with issues number 2 and 3, perhaps. I still need to get with him on that. Because I do want to read this. It's Simon Hanselman's new series that he's working on. And I haven't read, so I didn't read issue 4 yet, because it's like I said, I need to read the next 2. But I did read the back matter, which, look at that. He puts back matter in a single issue. Eat your heart out, Paul Pope. and like all the text, and it's enthralling. I could read Simon Hanselman waffle a bit. He calls it waffling. He's Australian. About anything for years. Like I could read like 100 pages of this. So interesting, and it's very nihilistic but happy and optimistic in a way. I think that's the last. Yeah. Then I got 3 issues of Lose. Michael DeForge. Everyone knows I love Michael DeForge's work. And these are never going to be collected, according to Michael DeForge. He did 7 issues of this. This is his one-man anthology. I'm trying to cover you up. And this is issues 4... Is it 4, 6, and 7? 4, 6, and 7. That's what it is. Issues 4, 6, and 7. Look. 6, 7. What am I supposed to do? So issues 4, 6, and 7. So I need issues 1, 3, 5,
2,
and 2. Yeah, thank you. That's it. That's all I got for the week.
and 8.
Huh?
And 8.
No, it stopped at 7.
Oh.
But does anybody have every issue of Lose? I'm trying to be a Michael DeForge completist because he's one of my favorite cartoonists. And so I need to pick up those. I think issue 2 is really hard to find. Let's go over my haul. Excuse me. I did get another Kurt Vonnegut, so not comics related, but prose related. Cat's Cradle. This is the one I wanted to read next on my Vonnegut list. I found this in a Goodwill. It's all kind of beat up and stickers all over it. But this is the Vonnegut I wanted to read the next. And I have like one shelf over here dedicated to just prose books for next year. And I think I have 3, maybe 4 Vonnegut's to read for 2026. Because my goal is to read 1 prose novel a month. And I think I have more than 12 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then upstairs I have 11, 12. I might have exactly 12, actually. Another part of my haul, Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. I got this is a review copy from Fantagraphics. And super stoked about this. This is the earliest story. So this is volume 1. This one just came out last month, I believe. Gilbert Shelton, Underground Comics with an X. It's called Times of No Money. It's even got a die-cut cover, just like all the other Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers do. But it's been a lot of fun to read these early stories. I've read most of the Freak Brothers stories I've read have actually been some of these because I've had old collections in the past. So some of this is like revisiting old stuff. But one thing that I always love and appreciate is the title lettering of Gilbert Shelton. Like almost every strip has a different title lettering. Like that alone is like a lot of work to put into the cartooning. Like look at that. But then the cartooning alone is just amazing. Like this to me is like this is like adult animated comedy before that even existed. Before like decades before The Simpsons and Family Guy and Adult Swim and things. That's this kind of comedy. So if you're into those types of TV shows, then I would highly recommend this. It's a stoner comedy as well. I think this is all just Gilbert Shelton work in this book here, with some Fat Freddy's cats in here as well. But yeah, there's hilarious stuff. I absolutely love the Freak Brothers. We'll have 7 volumes total when it's all said and done. The 7th volume comes out in 2026, and then we'll have the whole set of everything Gilbert Shelton put out when it comes to Freak Brothers and Fat Freddy's cat. Like, look at those guys. Who doesn't want to read a story about those 3 guys getting into hijinks and chasing drug money and chasing drugs and getting into all kinds of trouble? And I love that piece too, where they're like running away from the cops. There's just so much so many layers to his artwork too. It's like so much chicken fat and like Will Elder's chicken fat. Billy Graham. There's a strip in here with Billy Graham, like the famous preacher. but there's just like so much detail in the artwork too, so much cross hatching and all the things that you love about the underground comics. Next in my haul, I got Plastic Man Archives Volume 17. So I love Plastic Man. I think Plastic Man is one of the best Golden Age comics that still stand up today, that people can read today and still enjoy. I know I talk about Golden Age comics all the time on my channel that I love. This is one that I feel like is palatable and it could be enjoyable for current day audiences. And a lot of that has to do with Jack Cole's cartooning. I'm trying to get there we go. His cartooning is amazing. He wrote and drew all of this, and it just has it has a lot of the same flavor to it that Captain Marvel has that I really enjoy, which is just like this innocence to it, this whimsy, this not afraid to be kind of funny, goofy, wacky to it, which a lot of the Golden Age, like Superman and Batman's would I feel like take themselves too seriously at times. And these definitely don't. So these are super enjoyable. And there was 8 volumes of these archives that they put out. And now I only have 2 of them. I think I have volumes, 4 and 7 now. Or maybe 3 and 7. But so now I'm going to try to collect all 8 archives volumes, which I don't even think was all of the issues. I think there's still more Jack Cole stuff beyond that. But his splash pages and covers were also really magnificent. But this is the one that Bud Plant wrote an intro for that I was talking about. Here's a splash page. Ah! Just had a really fun way to draw this wacky, rubbery character. I'm trying to see. Did they not collect the covers in here? Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, look at this one. So, Plastic Man Archives is another one I'm trying to collect. Any Jack Cole fans in the house? Mm-hmm. It's also more fun and cool to have the original Undergrounds. You're right. And the good thing is they reprinted a lot of those issues a ton of times. So like Zap issue 0, I think it's been printed like 12. I don't know. I think I found like 11 or 12 printings of those. And I don't care about having first printing, so I could get the cheapest one and it won't be a big issue. Simpsons quotes. Did I drop a Simpsons quote? I probably did. I don't know. It just happens naturally. I get easier to have nice. Oh, you dropped the Simpsons quote. Okay, sorry. I get easier to have a nice new book and put it on the shelf. Hello, Chris Brogan. Happy birthday, by the way. Everybody wish Chris here a happy birthday. You share a birthday with, who did I say at the start of the show? Ozzy Osbourne, Montel Jordan, and I forget who else. How can you do a video on Golden Age comics when you don't own all of... Oh, see, I see what you're doing there. But I should do like that's the video I want to do, because I feel like Golden Age comics get a bad rap. And people are like, those are old and like there's too many words and they're boring. But there's so many Golden Age comics that people should give a shot, because I feel like there's still a lot of fun to read nowadays. And so I need to do that video, like the best Golden Age comics to read for a new audience. And I would definitely have Plastic Man on there. Captain Marvel would be on there. Those archive editions oversized. Never seen one in the wild. Always assumed that they were standard size for some reason. They are standard size. This was DC's answer to the Marvel Masterworks. So Marvel had the Essentials, the black and white phone book editions, and DC copied those with the DC Showcase line. Then Marvel did the Marvel Masterworks. Then DC copied them with the DC Archives. Marvel did the Omnibus, and DC copied that. But then DC did the Absolute Edition, and Marvel has not copied that. Like, this book was printed in 2005. Okay, I thought it was much older. But yeah, so these are like their Marvel Masterworks. They're standard size. which is fine. Whatever, not everything has to be oversized. I would love a Plastic Man Jack Cole omnibus, though. Don't get me wrong. Also got 2 other review copies that are chunky. Like, these are fat books here. And one of them is Girl Comics, the latest of the Atlas Comics library from Fantagraphics. So this is the 7th volume, I think. Yeah, number 7. But I haven't measured it on my shelf, but I think it is the fattest volume of all of them. It clocks in at almost 400 pages, it looks like. Yeah, 399, it looks like. I can't get my finger in there. Maybe 400 if you count the end papers. But it's a great looking book. And Girl Comics, it collects Girl Comics 1 through 11, I want to say. No, 1 through 12. Like, literally the title of the book was called Girl Comics. You can see it comprising Girl Comics 1 through 12, October of 1949 through 1952. Again, great Golden Age comics right here. Great table of contents. I love these Atlas books. But Dr. Michael Fasalo writes the intros to these, and I swear that alone is worth the price of admission. I love comic book history, and Dr. Michael Vassallo is the utmost historian on anything to do with Atlas Comics. He curates this line as well, so he kind of makes the choices on what to reprint. With he goes to Fantagraphics, like, hey, what do you think about Girl Comics 1 through 12? And then they say yay or nay. So he kind of curates the line, and these are mostly romance comics, I believe. But like the first, here's the first cover of the first issue. Mostly romance comics, but I think some of them have a little bit of crime involved as well. And but yeah, the covers were all like these. They look like magazines, right? Like just your typical girls magazine. But the artwork within is amazing. Like some of the greatest artists in comics history. And don't dismiss romance comics as like, oh, that's going to be like boring romance stories. The artwork alone is amazing, but like the stories are really, really good too. Jack Kirby and Joe Simon invented the romance genre in comics. Like, look at that guy blowing smoke out of his nose. What a thoughtful cartoonist. Capturing that moment of smoking a ciggy. But yeah, all the Atlas artists are in this one. And the restoration's wonderful in these. It's all done by Alan Harvey. House of the Shadow. So here's like a little bit of a spooky tale. So it's not all just romance stuff. Like, look at the artwork. That is amazing stuff. A real girl's adventure. Who's the artist on that one? It doesn't say. I'm going to look it up. Because they do have really good table of contents on these. The House of Shadows. Page 193. Russ Heath. Oh, Russ Heath is the artist on that one, of course. And then the covers would get into like the classic Atlas style, which is what Robert Crumb appropriated for his most recent Tales of Paranoia. He did kind of an Atlas style cover to that one. A little bit different than the EC style of covers. They Called Me a Spy. So you have some Cold War politics in here as well. There's some fun stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to dive into this and read a lot of these. I like the classic romance comics. I kind of wish that genre was back in a bigger way. That was before pre-comic. Those are all pre-code. And okay, those are all pre-code, and that was when comics were way more diverse, and the readership of comics was way more diverse. So the romance comics, girl comics, and like the romance comics that Kirby and Simon are doing were all super popular with like the housewives of that era, like moms and wives read comics. Like, can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine like 50s housewife like cooking dinner for a family, and then sitting down and reading like comics at night. Like that's such an amazing like idea. Like the whole family reading comics. Like the kids have their funny animals. The wives have their, the romance comics, and their spouse is reading Superman or whatever. But yeah, then the Comics Code Authority came out and it blew up the whole thing. It made comics only for kids, and all the publishers only made comics for kids, and you would never see that visual again. For girl comics, I'm interested. I am going to. Yes, I'm behind on my Fantagraphics review videos, but I'm definitely going to do a video on this one once I get a chance to sit down and read it. I was thinking of passing on girl comics, but now you've got me rethinking that. Yeah, if you like, Dana, I feel like a lot of the artists involved, like, I think it's definitely worth it. It's got, like, let me see here. Russ Heath, Joe Manili, Saul Brodsky, George Klein, Ann Brewster's got some women's cartoonists in here as well. Mike Esposito, Chick Stone, Warren Broderick. Yeah. So it's like partly your usual who's who of Atlas bullpen, but then some other ones that I've never read before. I haven't read any Anne Klein comics. That'll be interesting. The last book I got, other review copy, is Savage Tales of the 1980s, the third volume of the Lost Marvels line from Fantagraphics. This book is a beast. Like, look at this thing. I'm pretty sure that's as thick as volume 1 and 2 combined. But this is a hefty tome, and it collects every issue of Savage Tales from the 1980s, which was, how many issues was that? It wasn't even that many issues, but they were like jam-packed issues. Eight issues. Just 8 issues of Savage Tales, but they were all like 60-some pages. And just like flipping through this book, I already know I'm going to love this book. This was edited by Larry Hama back in the day. He was like the editor of it. Here's the first cover of Savage Tales #1. You can totally tell that they were going for heavy metal vibes, right? Like they're going to compete with Heavy Metal magazine. Now, the artwork on the inside is not anything similar to Heavy Metal, but it's still great. Like, look at that stuff. And then there's the table of contents for the first issue. You got Michael Golden, John Severin, Gray Morrow. And there's some issues of the Nam in here as well. Oh, they even kept like all the ads in there. Like here's like a Heroes World catalog ad. I don't even know this cartoonist. Who does anybody know? Will Junkunt? Is that like a pseudonym for a different cartoonist? I never heard of him, but I like his stuff. It says it was written, drawn, and lettered by him, and I love that lettering at the top. Yeah, this Will Junk. It kind of gives me like some Benjamin Marra vibes. Which Benjamin Marra is awesome. That looks like John Severin for sure. Oh, look at that John Severin look. But these are like chunky issues. It's all black and white artwork on the inside. And the covers are all like these painted covers. Let me see if I can find another one. Like here's issue number 3. So you definitely tell they're going for like that Heavy Metal magazine vibe, which was obviously super popular back then. Oh, there was that's what I want to show off. One of the artists in here that I couldn't remember, or I didn't know that he ever did any work with any Marvel comic ever, because this was Savage Tales was a Marvel comic series, and this is Fantagraphics reprinting it. There's a Sam Glanzman story in here, but where's the one I wanted to show? Pepe Moreno, he's in here as well. Oh, there it is, 255. I did not know this cartoonist did any sort of Marvel work. Check this out. James O'Barr did a story in a Marvel Comics issue. I had no idea. James O'Barr who's famous for doing The Crow. Like, look at that. James O'Barr artwork. Trying to show it off, but you get the idea. Yeah, but it's a huge, chunky book of black and white 80s comics. I just cannot wait to dive into that. Let's see, who designed this book? Dana Collins. Dana Collins was a designer on that book. I'm pretty sure Ian Chalgren designed Girl Comics. Yeah, Ian Chalgren was the designer on Girl Comics. Everyone have a great day, a great week. Remember, next Tuesday is when the next week's live show will be on. Tuesday, noon Eastern. Thank you so much. Keep talking comics.